November 5th, 2020. From El Cajon, California, this is episode 220 of You Can Bet On That. Hi, everybody. Welcome to You Can Bet On That, a podcast for the recreational gambler. My name is Mark Duvall, and sitting across from me is Dr. Mike.
Hello.
Dr. Mike, you are on fire.
I am on
fire.
For the last seven
straight sessions,
yes,
you've been a winner.
Right.
And a couple of big ones there, too.
A couple of huge ones.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
I haven't gone with you every time,
right?
But I've been the benefactor of it as well. The last two times at least, maybe three,
right?
And yeah, it's been nice.
And you've had some big wins.
Definitely. I may have had my biggest win out at Harrah's. I didn't actually go to look, but it was close.
Well, I had my biggest 1 and 2 wins ever.
Amazing. Yeah, boy, I'm glad because you were talking about what a crappy year this has been for you gambling.
Yes, it's turned around.
That's great.
Yeah. The worm is turned. It's out of the ointment or something. I don't know.
The fly is in the ointment. Yeah. Isn't that what Uncle Ike used to say?
He used to say the fly's in the ointment.
Well, we went here a couple of weeks ago, and I've got I think are a couple of funny stories. First story is we arrived at the casino, went to the craps table. I was one of the very first shooters, and I had an immediate 7-out, which happens. Anybody who's played some craps knows that everybody has immediate 7-outs. And so you went, "Oh, Mark." So I refused to roll the whole rest of the night.
You did not roll.
I'm not going to let you down anymore, Dr. Mike. I refused.
The dealers kind of found that funny.
And I was especially jerky about it, too, because I would act like I was going to roll.
Oh.
You know, it was kind of, "Okay, Mark, you're up." And I'd kind of get up off my seat and rub my hands on the felt. And then as soon as they push the dice my way, I'd just wave them over to you. Teach you a lesson.
So that week, the dealers thought you were pissed off all night. And then this last week, you were drunk all night. Mark was so drunk that when I went on Saturday on Halloween without you,
right,
bar none, every dealer and about half of the regular players came up to me and said, "How's Mark doing?
I wasn't
Is Mark
that
okay
No,
today?"
I was not that drunk.
You were acting like you were that drunk.
All right. Well, maybe that could be true.
and they were all concerned the next day that, you were having a miserable day.
No, I was fine.
And of course, I just let them believe it. I said, "Oh, yeah, I doubt if he's doing too much today. He's probably in bed with an ice pack on his head."
Yep. On that one session, you there was like a dice went off the table or something, or stick change or something. You had a lot of money out there. You called your bets off, and I did not.
Yes.
How has that ever happened?
No, that has never
I don't think
happened.
that's ever happened.
The number of times I've called my bets off, probably I can use one hand to count.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Yeah. And it was not a 7-out. It was, I don't know, 6 or something. It was not that big a deal. But I just wanted to let everybody know that there was a blue moon in October, and Dr. Mike called his bets off when I did not.
I'll add to that, Mark. Another extremely fascinating thing that happened is you bet so many horn bets.
This is true.
I can't even count them. You bet a lot of horn bets.
Here's the thing, all right? Mike bets the horn every come-out roll, right? And any time a point is established, and then the very next roll is a horn number, he says every time that first roll is a horn, every time, and the dealers are all agreeing, yep, every time. So to show you that it wasn't every time, I bet the horn as soon as the point was established, and I lost a ton of bets.
Let me ask you this, though.
Yeah.
For the night, were you up or down for that horn?
Oh, I have no idea.
Oh, up easily.
Really? You think so?
Easily, Mark. The first 5 or 6, you didn't hit one.
Yeah.
And then you were hitting them like crazy.
Yeah, I did hit
You were hitting them like crazy.
And I never...
And you're getting more than you lost.
Yeah.
So I bet you were up for the night.
All right. October was a strange month. A very strange month.
It was a mysterious month.
Here's how strange it was. Something happened here over the Halloween weekend at San Manuel. We've mentioned San Manuel. It's a Southern California casino here. Your brother mentioned how it was hard to get in,
right?
Because they had long lines and a lot of checking to get in. And we went up there once, but...
Right. And I guess on that night on Halloween, they were inviting a lot of their higher tier players for some mysterious free play that they were going to get between 8 p.m. and midnight.
Right.
So you got it at 8, and you had till midnight to use it.
Yeah.
After that, it was gone.
Yeah, and so the email
you
kind of
had
said
to be there for that time.
right. It kind of said mysterious free play, but some of the higher rollers, their hosts ahead of time said, "Oh, you're getting $200. Oh, you're getting $500. I know ahead of time. I'm looking here. It's like, oh, okay, well, it's worth it to go in."
Right. And I had heard they were warning these people, look, we're going to put you on a list because the casino's going to be full. So it might be, you instead of having to stand in line for 2 hours or whatever, you're on this list. Just tell security and they'll let you in.
Oh, okay. All right. So get them in for this big free play.
For this big free play.
Well, as players who got this free play soon found out, as soon as they went to a machine, the amount that showed up as free play on the machine was 100 times what they were supposed to get. 100 times. So if you were supposed to get $500 in free play, it showed up as $50,000 on the machine. Somebody typing it in thought they had to put in the dollars and cents, right? And
or they just didn't put a decimal point.
Something like that, yeah.
They typed in 50000.
That's what I mean, right? Yeah, exactly. 100 times. So people looked at it, were in shock. This happened to a lot of people.
We heard it from quite a few people.
Yes.
The people I talked to said they were just frantically trying to find machines.
Right. People were going to high limit thinking, I'm going to try to get through this as fast as I can before,
if it was real and you only had 4 hours, you have 50,000. You can't be playing 60 cents a hand.
That's
right?
right. And there might have been some people who didn't realize it was a mistake. It's like, oh, wow, I really hit the jackpot. I must have gotten one of the lucky draws.
Mysterious giveaway.
Yeah, right.
So, I'm the big lucky winner, right?
So people started playing on these slot machines, and it was pandemonium. The slot attendants were running around trying to deal with hand pays.
Right.
Because people are playing the maximum amount, and they're on these big machines in the high limit area, and they're running and think, wow, it's really crowded tonight.
And if you hit a hand pay, you want them there right away because you're thinking, I got to get through this 50,000, right?
That's right.
So, I can't sit here and wait 20 minutes for this guy to pay me my $1,200.
Right?
I got to get through
People
this.
are probably thinking, how long is this going to last? What's the smartest thing to do? Should I stay in high limit or should I go to one of the machines that's not as high a payout so I can play faster?
Right.
Of course, I won't be making as much money. Anyway.
Well, what I heard is all the machines were full.
Yeah, right.
The place was packed. There were people who were frantically trying to find anywhere to play.
Yeah. Well, eventually the casino figured out what was going on, and they shut everything down, right? Shut down the free play. I think they shut down their kiosks. So people who had their money, they were happy and it moved on and started kind of trickling into social media. A lot of people didn't want to talk about it, didn't want to call attention to it. Maybe I got away with something here.
Right.
It was the casino's mistake. Absolutely the casino's mistake. So,
you know what was funny is the smart players were, every time they'd hit a win, were cashing out. Right.
So it wouldn't keep money on the machine.
So it wouldn't keep money on the machine. So people had a ton of slips.
Okay. Yeah.
And then there was this huge run at the cash out machines.
Yeah.
Everyone trying to put their slips in,
Oh my gosh. Anyway, the casino put an end to it. And the story was going around like, wow, did you hear what happened? Where did you hear what happened? Well, on Monday, players got an email from San Manuel basically admitting to the mistake and saying that any amount of free play that they played above the amount that they were supposed to get would be deducted from future free play offers. So, for example, let's say you were promised $500 and you managed to play $3,000 of the $50,000 that showed up on your machine before the casino put a stop to it. They're going to deduct $2,500 from your future free play because you played through 3,000. You should have only been able to play through 500.
Right. So if your monthly free play was like $100, then the next month you're not going to get that $100.
Yeah.
I mean, you are, but they're going to take it back. So, some people may go a while without free play because normally they don't give. It's $100 or $80 free play for the month. And I think there's a weekly free play thing. But most people are not, if they played through several thousand, it's going to take a while to pay that back.
Yeah. And I want, Mike, it's pretty vague the way they say that. Is it going to be, you're just not going to get any free play? for a while till it's paid off, or is it going to be half of what you expect?
Right.
Because they still want you to come in, right?
Right. Yeah, they made no mention of that.
Yeah.
So the funny thing is, if they give you nothing, what's your incentive to go?
Right,
They lose money, right? Because normally they give you $80, but you go through 500.
Yep.
Yeah, they've got to give something to get people there. I don't know how they're going to work that out.
And then, we're not lawyers, but it's good to hear that it doesn't sound like San Manuel is going to try to take any action against the players, which, casinos will do.
Well, in this case, I'm even surprised. I mean, I would just take the loss. If I was the head of the casino, I would just say, we screwed up.
Well, they're not taking the loss, right? They're taking it out of, future free play. But
I would take,
you would.
I would take the loss. I would just say,
I see.
We're going to give everyone their regular free play. Let's just don't screw up again. Let's just take the loss. Because it's kind of bad business.
Sure.
Because you're not going to get the players there. I still want them to come.
Yeah, right.
I want them to come and lose 500. I'll make it up faster that way than I will with them not showing up.
Yeah. So. And then on the other side, players don't really have any legal recourse either, especially since this is a tribal casino.
Right.
And you hear Bob Nersessian is a regular on Gambling with an Edge. He's an Advantage Players lawyer, and he has said, when it comes to tribal casinos, he just won't even touch those cases because, who knows what's going to happen.
Right.
So,
well, all bets are off. They make their own rules.
You could argue, as a player, hey, it was their mistake. I should get that $50,000. Well, don't count on that, even if you went to court. So,
right.
Yep. All right. On the last episode, we talked about how there were these little red lighted circles on the craps table, on the roulette table, at all the tables at Harrah's, and it looked like it was going to be some kind of progressive. And sure enough, this last week they introduced what they call the impressive progressive. And it is on all the table games.
Yeah, all of them.
It is a shared progressive amongst all the table games. Now, I don't want to say it's complicated, but it's involved. And there's no way we're going to explain the whole thing here. Even with the notes I have here, it might be confusing. But let me tell the story. First of all, we got there like hours after they had first started dealing it. And you and I were at the craps tables, and I kept asking questions. They're explaining something to me, and I'd come back with, well, what do you mean by that? What about this? Oh, well, blah, blah, blah. And I'd say, well, that doesn't make sense. What about this? And finally, I don't know, Mark.
Yeah, a lot of the dealers honestly had no clue. They had no clue how to mark it, how to pay it, or anything. Even 3 days later, we're still working out.
I'll bet.
How should we pay that? Who should collect it? And where should they put their bet? And, that kind of stuff.
Well, while we were standing there, I noticed that there was a group of dealers at one of the pie gow tables standing around. And I went over and kind of was asking about, and they said, we're about to go through training. And I said, I'm going to go through the training then too. And, luckily I know all the dealers there, and the pit boss that came over to train, I know him. So they let me sit in on this training. And I finally got a handle on it.
We were laughing because I was still at the craps table playing. And at one point I turned to the dealers and I said, turn around, look, Mark's asking the questions.
I was the only one asking questions at the training.
Mark's standing behind all these dealers and he's asking questions and they're answering them. And the dealers on the craps table, we were laughing so hard. It was like...
All right, let's see if we can explain this. Again, it's a casino-wide progressive. All of the table games have these lighted red circles that you've probably seen a lot of side bets, that kind of thing. It's a $5 bet, no more, no less. You make the bet before each hand at traditional card-based games like blackjack and three-card poker, that kind of thing. You do it before each spin on a roulette wheel, and you do it before each new shooter at the craps table. So right there, you hear that, it's like, wow, you're not making this bet very often at the craps table compared to other times.
Just every shooter.
You can make it as often as they allow, but at the craps table, it's only before every new shooter. So each table has a computer display listing the different payouts for certain outcomes. And in addition, there are 3 progressive jackpots listed on the display at the top whose values keep increasing, like a progressive. These jackpots are on every game display at every table. There's a top one, an ultra, then a major, and then a must hit by. And when they started dealing this bet, when we were there first. The Ultra was around 325,000.
Yeah, it's like 326,000 right now.
Okay,
something
all
like
right.
that.
The Major was around 25,000. I think that's maybe where it starts. The Major, 25,000. And the must hit by starts at 250 and goes up to 500. It must hit by 500.
It's kind of deceptive because, well, you'll explain this, but the Ultra and the Major, you don't get that amount of money.
Right, yeah, that's what we thought when we first saw there. Oh, you hit the big one, you hit the Ultra. Now, it doesn't work that way. Okay, so let's talk about what does happen. For the easier to hit winners, there's just a dollar amount that's listed and paid to the players. So, for example, if you're playing blackjack, one of the winners is if you're dealt a 7 in your first two cards, any 7, and you win $10. So it's basically double your bet. It's actually 1-to-1 because they take away the $5 that was on there. So you win $10, you're really only winning 5, but $10 is the payout. And then, for example, if you're dealt 2 7s that aren't the same suit, you win $125 if those are your 2 first cards, right? And then at craps, for example, if you hit 3 unique points, kind of like a fire bet, 3 unique points, you get paid $25. And again, so depending on the table you're at, these lower, easier to hit winners, it's all sorts of different things, right?
Right, it's different for roulette, it's different for pie gow. It's,
Now, for the harder to hit winners, like a royal flush at a poker-based game, a virtual spin wheel appears on the display with different amounts, kind of like a Wheel of Fortune. The Wheel of Fortune slot, it has a bunch of different values in there, right? And it spins, right? And whatever it lands on, that's what you get. And these different amounts are percentages of the Ultra and Major jackpots. And whatever the wheel lands on, that's what the player wins. So if the harder it is to hit, the better the options on the wheel will be.
Right.
So, for example, we won't talk about every single table game, but let's talk about craps since, that's what we play. The 2 highest payouts on this table are all 6 points to the fire or all 6 points with no repeaters. So 6 unique points, but you don't repeat any.
Right.
Okay? So if you just hit all 6 numbers, but there were some repeaters in there, the wheel's options wouldn't be quite as good as if you hit all 6 numbers with no repeaters. That wheel that would come up would have better options, would be higher payouts. Right, exactly. So it's impossible to say what the house edge is on this.
Yeah, because you don't know what you're going to win.
You don't know what's going to come up on the wheel. You don't know how frequent certain parts of the wheel will hit. Like if you played the Wheel of Fortune, that $1,000, it's not completely random, right? If it were completely random, that $1,000 would come up all the time, right? So we don't know that. Plus, it's a progressive, so we have no idea what the house edge must be on this. I'm sure it's huge.
Oh, it's got to be huge, right? It is kind of fun, though, because you do win some of the smaller payouts frequently. Like in craps, 3 points,
Yes.
That comes up a fair amount.
Yeah.
And the other night we were there, twice we had 2 4 points, which pays $100.
Yeah.
So that was $200, and we hit maybe 3 or 4 3-pointers.
Yeah.
So that's like another 100. So we probably got 300 or 400. Well, that's a lot of $5 bets.
Yes.
In a
Yeah.
night.
Right.
So
now the must hit by is kind of separate. This is a jackpot that is just randomly paid to someone who made the bet at any of the tables.
Any player in the casino who made that bet at that particular moment when it pays gets that amount of money.
And we can't tell when it will pay, although it has to pay before it hits $500. That's the max. But we have no idea what sets it off, what the randomness is, how it picks or anything. But every once in a while, somebody's red light will start flashing, and that's an indication that they've won the must hit by. And that can be anything between $250 and $500.
And it goes up like pennies at a time.
Yeah.
Right? Like a progressive. Yeah. So we're there sitting there saying, if this hits when it's $263.47, how do they pay that?
I think they come over, they write you a check.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is, right?
That's what we think. And Mark started screaming, 47 cents is going straight to the dealer.
Just go ahead and drop that 47 cents. Okay, was that confusing enough for everybody? It's too bad you kind of know about it, because in games that you're not familiar with, when I'm explaining to you ask the right questions, and now I have no idea what people are thinking. It's like I am no closer to understanding this bet than beforehand. I'm actually more confused.
I've played it 4 times now, 4 days it's been there, and I've played it, and people walk up and they're so bewildered by it. And, trying to explain it to them, even the dealers are trying to you got to, it's funny because a couple of people bet it and then it doesn't hit. They're like, I'm not betting that anymore.
It's $5 every time.
Yeah, it's $5. Now on craps, you don't put that $5 out that
See,
much.
that's what we were saying, right?
Blackjack?
If you wanted to bet it every time, that's every hand, $5 every hand.
Blackjack, that would add up.
You would get stuff back every once in a while. Every time you get a 7, right? You get even money. But no, I agree. It's going to eat up unless you hit a real big one.
Yeah, you could go through a lot in blackjack. It's kind of unfair in that. Even roulette, the wheel spins quite often.
I find this very interesting, though, because I am not familiar with any other casino that has a casino-wide progressive for table games.
Right.
This is a novelty as far as I'm concerned, and unique amongst casinos. Now, I don't know, maybe they exist at other places, but it's certainly the first we've ever heard of it.
We were joking because we were playing craps and we were just fixated on that board. There's a big board behind every table.
Yeah, right, big display,
It's got everything on it. And it's like mesmerizing. I just like to watch the numbers going up. And it was funny. Okay, so on Sunday, or Monday, I guess it was, there were 6 of us playing craps. The other 5 people weren't betting it.
Uh-huh.
I'm the only one betting it.
Yeah.
Because if you hit the major or the ultra, you have to share that amount.
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up.
So when the wheel spins, and let's say it's 326,000, and it says you're going to get 10%, which would be $32,000.
Yeah.
Well, if there's 6 of us, we split the 32,000.
Right.
If there's one guy playing it, he gets the whole 32,000.
Yeah.
So I was playing, and no one else was betting it, and I was thinking, come on, this is the time.
Yeah, really.
Let's see all 6, no repeaters.
Yeah.
I get it all.
So just kind of reiterate what you said. So if you're just at a regular table game like blackjack, chances are if you hit, this big thing, I think it's like, you have 2 7 of diamonds and the dealer has a 7 of diamonds. That's the big payout there, right?
Yeah.
You're the only one at the table that has that, probably, right? Multi-deck. So you're going to be the only one who wins that jackpot. But at craps and also at roulette, the way that the things pay out, everyone on the table who made the bet would split the big jackpot. So that is a difference.
I think at roulette, to get the big jackpot, it's the same number has to come up 4 times in a row.
I think that's the big one. Right. Yes, 4 times in a row. Yeah, something
row.
Like that. Yeah.
Have you seen that?
Well, I've never seen it, but I don't play roulette that often.
I
right?
know, but I don't hear that.
It's extreme.
Often.
Yeah,
that's pretty extreme.
Well,
it seems to me like that'd be a lot harder to hit than 6 to the fire.
Well, 6 unrepeated to the fire. We've never seen
Thursday.
that. No, we've never seen that.
Last Thursday, when I went to the casino, I got there. One shooter had rolled 5 to the fire, and the next guy had rolled 6 to the fire. The guy that rolled 6 to the fire, no repeaters. Boom, boom, boom,
really?
boom, boom. 23 minutes.
Okay, I will choose to believe you.
They made a huge deal out of it that he rolled all 6, just boom, boom, boom. No repeaters, nothing. Didn't make hardly any numbers. They said just 6 points.
All right.
Like that.
It's hard to do.
It's hard to do.
All right. And then one last thing. So, again, if you're at a regular table game, blackjack, pie gow, you set the bet there yourself, just right on the red circle. But at the craps table, it's kind of with all the prop bets in there, so you have to throw it in and tell them what you want. So I made sure every time to say, I'd like $5 on the impressive progressive. And the dealers got real annoyed with that real quick. I didn't just say progressive or the bonus. I'd like $5 on the impressive progressive.
This week, I want you to make it different every time. Like, the repressive progressive.
That's good.
The regressive progressive.
All right,
I want you to just slightly alter it every time.
I'll do it every time. Good. Well, until finally it's not you. I'd like the cream cheese progressive.
Right.
Hey, Melanie will like this. So it looks like Amendment 77 has passed in Colorado, paving the way for higher limits at their casinos. Now, according to the Denver Post, Coloradans approved a measure to allow voters in 3 cities, Black Hawk, Central City, and Cripple Creek, to make changes to gaming stakes without a statewide vote. Amendment 77 will let residents in the cities increase or remove bet limits and approve any new casino games in those locations.
Oh, nice.
So,
the residents of the city
Right.
get to decide what the gambling limits are at the casino.
Exactly. It doesn't mean they're definitely going to go up, but it certainly paves the way for the possibility.
Right.
Right now, there's a $100 maximum on any single bet at
Well, if
Colorado
there's
casinos.
taxes involved on the casino that go to the city to fund whatever, cities do.
Well, it said that the
then-
taxes were going to go to community colleges. So, yes, there will be
then
taxes.
It's to their benefit to raise the limits somewhat to get more money, right?
So
as
there
long
you go.
as the residents of that city don't gamble.
Good news for Melanie, maybe good news for you, Dr. Mike, because you're more likely to go to these Colorado
I
casinos.
wonder, now, what do you think? Let's just give me your opinion. What would they raise it? It's $100 maximum bet at the craps tables. Now, what would they raise it to, Mark?
Well, I would guess they'd raise it to maybe $10,000, $20,000, but not at every table. I mean, a single table can have a maximum of $500, what have you, but maybe in the city, like the highest limit might be, I don't know, $20,000. Gosh, they could go as high as $100,000, try to get baccarat players in. I don't know.
I'm thinking that initially they would go to a $500 limit.
You think it'd be that low?
Well, you see casinos in Vegas, small casinos off the strip and stuff that have a $500 limit on their craps table.
Well, yeah, but they're not doing that because the law says that's the highest they can go.
But I mean, it's a safe bet where they won't get pounded too bad.
Well, but then that's the casino's decision, not the residents of the city.
Yeah, well, I mean, it just seems like you're going to jump from 100 to 10,000.
No, I understand, but hey, they jumped from $5 to 100. It used to be $5.
Right, that's true. That's true. Okay, so all right, well, maybe that's 20 times. So 20 times 100, 2,000. So yeah, maybe. Okay. Well, we'll see what it goes.
We'll see.
Yeah. If Melanie has anything to do with it, Melanie, I'm looking for around a $5,000 limit.
Oh, good. That's what you will go to Colorado for if they have
I'd go for 2,500 actually.
Oh, okay. Don't tell them that, Melanie.
I thought I'd push.
Say it's 5,000.
Yeah, I thought I'd push the casino a little.
Hey, thanks to everyone who's been clicking through our Amazon link. Remember, whenever you're going to buy something through Amazon, please go to our page first, youcanbetonthat.com, and click through our Amazon link towards the top of the page. All right, let's move on to some voicemails. First up is Michael. There was some sound problems with his call. I tried to clean it up as best I can. It's not too bad, but just FYI. Here we go.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is Michael from Indianapolis. First time calling in. Love your show. One quick trip report from Indiana Grand Casino in Shelbyville, Indiana. Got there. The guy had rolled 6 points before I got to the table and ended up going for 11 points worth. But the funny part is didn't even hit the fire bet for it, which I thought was crazy. It starts at 3 points on our table as well. The win a fire bet is 6-1 for 3 points, 29-1 for 4 points, 149-1 for 5 points, and then 299-1 for all 6, which not as good at all as the fire bet I was used to seeing at Southern Indiana, which was starting at 4 points and going up to 1,000-1 all the way up to all 6. But anyway, thought it was pretty interesting that guy made 11 consecutive points and didn't even hit 3 that were unique numbers for a fire bet win. Anyway, love the show and keep up the good work. Thanks.
Yeah, so 11 points. So think about that. If he didn't make 3 unique, that means he only made 2 unique at the most.
Right.
And that's pretty hard to do. 11 points and
Maybe
only 2
like
unique.
6 8s and 5 6s.
Yeah, something like that. I like to. I'm going to say that it was only 4s and 10s. That's
nice.
That's what I'd like to believe. Just 4s and 10s, 11 points.
Well, even if it was a 4 or a 10 and a 6, like 10 and a 6, that'd be still pretty nice.
I see. You're saying 10s and 6s the whole time. It's like, come on, just roll an 8.
It was 1 10 and 10 6s.
And he's doing it like one after the other. He establishes a 6 and then makes it. Establishes a 6 and then makes it. Everybody's thinking, come out on an 8 and then roll 4 6s.
Right. Hey, I liked it. It's Indiana Grand Casino.
Oh, yeah.
I think the word grand is underused.
Do you think it's underused?
I think it's underused.
Okay.
I think we should start putting grand in front of everything.
All right.
Like you're going to get the $5 deal box at Taco Bell.
Right.
It should be called the Grand.
No.
$5
The Grande.
The Grande. At Taco Bell, the Grande.
I think they do have Grande there, so they may already have that, yeah.
But grand, that needs to be used more.
Okay, says you.
These are words I think should be used more.
Grand.
Moist should be used less.
Right. Moist less, grand more.
Grand more.
All right. Next call.
You never know what you're going to learn on this show.
Hey, gentlemen, it's Jason from Michigan. I haven't called in a while. Heard you guys talking on your last podcast about free play and the amount of money you've been getting based on your play. And I want to let you know a little story that happened to me and my wife. We both play about the same amount, and we go quite often. Every time we show up to get our free gift or our comp money, free room, whatever it may be, they always told her she had nothing, and I always had things that were offered. This went on for about a year. We could never figure it out. And finally, we went in and checked a little deeper, and they said, no, you've been claiming your free gifts. You've been using your comp dollars, and we could not figure out who or why or how that could be because it wasn't my wife. Well, come to find out, believe it or not, there was some identity theft with the player's card. And we would have never thought somebody would take her identity through a player's card to redeem free play and gifts, but thinking on it now, I guess it makes sense. So just a little tidbit for all your listeners. If you're not getting any free play that you think you should be, someone else could be using it. So we had to cancel her current card, which they highly discouraged and did not want us to do because they told her that she would lose all her points. We had to explain to them that she's not getting them anyway. So we started over, and ever since then, she's been getting plenty of offers to free gifts and discounted rooms. So for what it's worth, that's what we figured out. Thanks, and have a great day.
Yeah, I mean, it's something you got to watch out for.
That's interesting. Now, we've never heard of that before.
No, it's a fair amount of work, but if somebody wanted to, came upon a spare player's card, somebody left it in the machine or something like that, and decided to make a fake ID with that person's name, it would probably be easy enough to
make a fake ID, at least at Harrah, Southern California, because you have to show your ID for so many things.
And then maybe even go up to the Players Club and say, hey, I've forgotten my password.
Right.
Can I reset it? Here's my ID, right? So, no, I haven't really heard of it, but it's certainly something people could do, especially if the offers are sweet.
Yeah, we're too lazy. We never do it.
I think laziness and just a sense of ethics,
maybe.
Yeah.
Although I don't know, we just talked about taking $50,000.
Well, the casino gave it to you. They said, "Hey, here's your $50,000." Okay, what am I going to say? No.
I'll tell you this free play thing. It's funny since he mentioned it. My wife goes like twice a month. And she'll play a machine. Usually I'm playing craps, and she'll play a little craps, but then she'll go play a machine. And she doesn't like to bet a lot. She's making dollar bets or 80 cents or something.
Right.
She just likes the machines. She likes watching all the stuff on the screen and stuff. So, she gets a fair amount of points, and they send her free play. She gets like $5 a day.
Okay.
What incentive is somebody have to drive to a casino for $5?
Yeah.
I mean, don't you think the minimum free play should be like $20 or something?
Yeah, or maybe you're saying she gets $5 a day. Maybe make it like $20 a week or something like that. So, because she's not going to go every day.
Right, exactly.
Right? Maybe just say, okay, anytime during the week we'll give you $20, $25.
Right.
Then there's a little more incentive. It's like, okay, good. I'll do it Thursday. I'll go up and get it.
Yeah, because it just seems to me like the whole idea behind free play and gifts and all that is to get you to the casino when you might not otherwise come.
Yeah, sure.
And so $5, really?
Yeah.
I mean, especially for Harrah's Rincon, because it's pretty far out there.
Yeah.
Unless you live nearby there, you've probably got at least a half-hour drive or more to get your $5.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what the snack box at Taco Bell costs.
The Grande?
Right?
Yeah, the Grande box. Yeah.
Why are we advertising for Taco Bell?
I know why. It's because we've left the casino so early the last few times. Taco Bell's been open, and you've really been pushing for it.
Yeah,
so we've gone every time.
I like those.
That's why.
I like those boxes.
Yeah. All right. Next up is Wade.
Hi, Wade from North Dakota. Your talk about the pull tab has made me think about a time back in the mid-'80s, and somebody found an advantage play with it. At the time, the charities that were involved were selling it down to the bottom of the barrel. But people that won the winners, the $100 winners, had to sign the back of the ticket, which gave the employees that worked there a chance to know how many $100 tickets were out there. So if very few of them had sold out and it was towards the bottom, say a couple hundred tickets left, the guy could buy that for $200, and maybe there's $230 worth of tickets inside that, so it was a no-lose situation. It got to be the big news, and they quit allowing them to sell it to the bottom. I do know of one case that made the press that the IRS got after the one guy who made a lot of money on that. They took him to court. They were claiming that, if he had a $100 ticket, he must have only bought one ticket, and he might have won hundreds of thousands, but he put in nearly that much in cash. So the judge threw that out and was quite ticked off at the IRS for even making that claim. So, but I thought it was pretty interesting on pull tabs, and they're still here in North Dakota, although the electronic pull tab machines are taking over and actually putting a crimp into the tribal gaming where they have, regular full-time casinos. Well, anyway, love your show. Take care. Bye.
Yeah, let me kind of give an example to help describe what Wade's talking about here. So again, pull tabs are like lottery scratchers in that there are predetermined winners and losers. So if you have a box of pull tabs and a charity is going to sell them, if they sell all of them, they're guaranteed to win a certain amount of money, right? Because the winners and losers all predetermined there. So let me use a real simple example. Let's say a charity has a box of 1,000 pull tabs, and they're $1 each. And it only has $100 winners or losers. So just for the sake of the argument, to make this example clear. So 1,000 pull tabs, let's say 8 are $100 winners. Okay, so if the charity sells all the pull tabs, they're going to get $200.
They're going to profit $200.
Right. Well, let's say that they've sold 500, and you happen to know that only 2 of the $100 winning tickets have been sold in that original 500. Well, now you know that in the remaining 500, there are 6 $100 winners. So if you were to buy up all those 500 tickets, you're guaranteed a $100 profit.
Right.
And so that's what he's basically talking about.
That's if you sell it to the end.
If you sell it to the end.
It's like dealing through the whole shoe.
And you have to know ahead. He was talking about how winners had to sign the back, right, for certain ones. So employees knew how many had been sold.
Right.
So yeah, they've implemented procedures to prevent, that from happening. But that's kind of what he was talking about, an AP move with pull tabs. Yep.
Right. So if you get caught making an advantage play and you go to court and you get convicted and get sent to federal prison, and you have to tell the guy in, the cell block with you that you're in there for pull tab fraud. I don't know, Mark.
No, you're safe. Your cellmate is going to be laughing hysterically. You are absolutely safe in that situation. A pull tab.
They probably think you're one badass dude. Nobody messes with you. Don't mess with that guy. He had a pull tab scam going.
We call him the pull tabber.
Yeah, he had a scam going.
Oh, man.
He'll start doing the taxes for all the other inmates.
Yeah, there you go. That's right. All right, next call.
Hi, guys. This is Eric from East Tennessee, and I was calling to give a trip report on my recent trip to Harrah, Cherokee Casino in Cherokee, North Carolina. If anyone hasn't visited this casino that lives in the southeast, or really east of the Mississippi, it's a real jewel. It's tucked away in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. There's so much you can take in other than the casino. And I would say probably sometime in 2021, they're opening up a brand new tower. It looks like, I think someone said 750 room tower, which they probably already have about 700 rooms. If you're in the southeast or anywhere east, it's a great casino to go visit. Got there late on a Sunday, probably around midnight into Monday morning. They did have 4 craps tables working. One of them was a crapless, and then they had a shoot to win, and then they had 2 regular craps tables with all-time smiles on them. One of the tables was extremely crowded. I mean, like 5 to 6 people on each side. And I figured when just walking in, it was probably a 10 or maybe even a 5 that late. But I walked by and it was a 15. And the other one, there was absolutely no one at it. And I walked by and thought, well, this must be a 25. But it was also a 15. So I threw down my bankroll and proceeded to be the only one there for about an hour. Grew the $500 into about $750. And then they closed the other table down. And everybody at the other $15 table came over and played at mine. I cashed in and left. I'm a DC, don't. So, a lot of people don't like that. As far as the restrictions and everything, I mean, it's the first time I have been there since pre-COVID. The mask armament, everybody wears them. They do check your temperature. And they put a wristband on you, which I guess signal size that you have been checked. But other than that, I mean, I didn't see 3 to a side. I mean, I seen 8, 9, 10 people at a table, and it was late on a Sunday night. Anyway, guys, love your show. Thanks for everything you do for the community, promoting the other podcasts, Do for a Win, 7 Out. You can bet on that. Thanks for everything you guys do. Bye.
Yeah, we keep hearing great things about Harrah's Cherokee, and we've just got to go
my
there
brother
sometimes.
thinks it's the best casino in the country,
Yeah.
and he lives in Los Angeles. And like 2 weeks ago, to get out of town, he took 3 days off and went there to hang out at Cherokee.
Yeah.
You're preaching to the choir here as
Yeah.
far as like good casino.
I'll tell you, Mike, doesn't it surprise you to hear about all these crowds and, crowded tables and everything? Because remember back in July,
Right.
Harrah's Cherokee had a COVID-19 cluster. It was like amongst table game dealers.
Right.
So they actually had an outbreak. You'd think they'd be taking things a little more seriously. But, a packed craps table?
It might be the part of the country they're in.
Yeah, well, I understand that, sure. But gosh, when there's an outbreak, you'd think they'd...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wished, honestly, now, I know you and I disagree on this, but I wish they'd let 4 to a side on the craps table. I think there's plenty of room for 4. You like 3, not for COVID.
No, it's
you
not-
just like room for yourself.
I spread out.
Yeah. It's easier to get, when you're drunk, you're moving a lot. You're moving a lot.
All right, next call.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is Michael from Indianapolis. I wanted to call in and tell you about a couple stories from my most recent trip to Anderson, Indiana. It's Harrah's Hoosier Park. It's a smaller casino for craps players like us. Not the greatest. It only has 2 tables total in the whole place, often one going at a time with COVID. And it's only about 6 people total per table still. So it's kind of tough to get on a table there sometimes. So I often avoid this casino. But happen to go for the lower limits. It's usually $5 or $10 table as opposed to the $15 minimums or $25 even that I've seen commonly at Indiana Grand in Shelbyville, which is the next closest to me. But yeah, the first story, I had a 15-year-old, about a 21-year-old come up to the table. Couldn't have been more than 21. He looked like 15. And he bought him for $2,000 at the craps table at the $10 minimum and proceeds to put $1,500 of it, first roll of his trip here onto the field. $1,500. First roll, 12. So right away, $4,500. 12-pace triple here. Next roll, he kept it out there. Boom, another 12. Anyway, he ends up walking away with $15,000 after about 20 minutes. He just left. I didn't see him after that, but I haven't seen him there since. But I've never seen somebody put $1,500 in the field and hit back-to-back 12s the way that everybody was going nuts. He couldn't believe it. So that was crazy. And then the second story was kind of the opposite. I had a gentleman, again, buy in for a substantial amount. I believe it was about another $2,000 or so. And right away, he laid the 6 for about $500 and then bet in the field. And that was it. And every time a non-decision came up, so not a 7, not a 6, he would add $30 to his lay. I couldn't believe it. I've never seen, why would you do the 6 when you could do the 4 or 10? I know it gets paid more, but I had me shaking my head. I can't understand why he would pick such a common number to lay such a large amount. But anyway, the guy did 7 out and he ended up winning the bet. And I kind of looked at him. He just kind of winked at me and smiled. So I don't know if he knew something I didn't, but anyway, thanks for all you do. Enjoy the show and take care. Bye-bye.
Mike, I'm trying to remember if I have ever seen anyone make a lay bet against the 6 or 8.
Let me help you.
All right.
No,
Okay.
you have never seen that because nobody does that.
I mean, I've seen people lay odds on don't come bets, of
Right,
course.
sure,
right.
sure.
But actually make a lay bet, yeah,
No.
you just
No,
never
why would
see
you
it.
lay the 6
Well,
when you could lay the 4 and 10?
Okay, but then, why would you buy the 4 and 10 when you could place the 6 or 8, right?
Yeah,
I could throw
right.
that back at you, right? I understand if people want to do it. It's just got to be maybe the least popular bet on the table.
Right. I could never, ever, ever imagine doing that. I would feel so stupid when 6 comes up.
Yeah.
The next roll is like, this is second most common number. Why? What the? People are funny though. Okay, I'm going to tell you something that happened the other night. Somebody told me they were betting some numbers at Harrah, Southern California, but only like a couple of numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a player who normally bets them all.
Okay.
Goes across. And I said, why are you just betting those? And he said, oh, I'm playing the combinations of the cards.
Oh, God.
So he wasn't betting a 6 because to make a 6, you had to roll like a 4 and a 6, which would be a 10.
In real craps, but at Harrah's it'd be a 6, right? Yeah.
Right. Or it was like a 3 and a 1, so you had to roll a 4 to get a 6. Those were the combinations of 6. It was a 1 3 or a 4 6. Oh, and it's hard to roll a 4 and it's hard to roll a 10. So don't bet the 6. Put your money on another number that.
If he's doing that to have fun, fine. Yeah. If he's doing it because he thinks it's some smart system, no.
Yeah. Well, it makes no sense because there's still just,
there's
so
still
many
the
ways
same
to throw
number
a 6.
of combinations. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't get it. But anyway, I kind of think, okay. You know,
really.
And I understand, someone thinking that.
Yeah.
And maybe it's fun. Maybe it's fun for that guy to lay the 6.
Yeah. Well, see, that's what I'm saying, right? Play however you want.
Yeah.
But it's certainly not something we see.
He winked. Maybe he's got some kind of mental ability where he knows.
That's right.
He actually knows what all the rolls are going to be.
That's why he winked.
He knew no
right?
6 was coming.
That's right. So he wasn't going to lay against the 4. He's going to make more money on the 6.
That's right.
And then, Michael, as far as that big field bet player, you said you haven't seen him at the casino a while. That's because his $15,000 is gone.
Right. We always get a kick out of field players because you do see people walk up and make a big bet and get lucky.
Oh, you can go on a run of field numbers like crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Well, we've seen it where like 8 field numbers in a row, and we'll even say, oh my God, the field's hot.
Yeah, yeah.
But, you play that long enough, of course, 6 and 8 tend to come up.
They do.
And
it grinds you
7
down.
And 5.
Yeah, they do. Well, all right, let's hear from Mr. Lucky. He went to Circa shortly after the opening.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike. It's Mr. Lucky here from Southern California, heading home bright and early from Las Vegas to get back to work. I wanted to call you with an update on the Circa Hotel and Casino. As you know, it opened last week on Wednesday, and I wanted to get there to check it out. So basically, brand new, beautiful casino in downtown Las Vegas. The garage is across the street. They're advertising that as the Garage Mahal. Basically, it's $4 an hour, $25 maximum charge for the day. It's basically a car garage. I'm not understanding why they're promoting that so much. The casino itself, the sports book, is probably the nicest sports book that I've seen in the entire state of Nevada. Stadium seating, it's the screens, the audio, everything is phenomenal. The casino is on 2 floors. A couple of observations. They have a restaurant there called Saginaw's. Derek Stevens and his brother Greg are from the Detroit area. It's a very Detroit/Michigan themed restaurant and so forth. For 2 iced teas, 2 bowls of soup, and a wedge salad, it was $39. Food was good, but it wasn't $39 good, which is pretty much the theme that we noticed there, is that they're doing Las Vegas Strip pricing in downtown. Again, there's a lot of excitement there. All the tables were between $15 and $25. Interestingly, on the craps, it was 3, 4, 5 on the odds, where I know Derek has 5 or 10 times at the Golden Gate, which is right down the street. I do want to let you know I did run into Derek Stevens. I met him years ago. He's very visible there in the casino. I mentioned your podcast. He said that for all listeners that want to go to Saginaw's for the 99-cent shrimp, if they're there from 3 to 5 a.m. and order an entree and mention you can bet on that, they will get it for 99 cents. And for all the listeners out there, Derek is at the Mega Bar. He has his own seat there. He'll take a picture with you. He will talk to you. He might even buy you a drink. But it's definitely a great place to go. A lot of excitement there. I did not go see the pool as we got there late on Sunday. Figured, A, I didn't want to pay the $10 to go see it. B, everyone's probably gone for the day. So thanks so much and have a great week.
Hey, thanks, Mr. Lucky, and thanks, Derek, for giving people a discount there. Derek probably remembers us and says, oh, yeah, you can bet on that. All right, 3 a.m. to 5 a.m.
That's just when Dr. Mike's leaving the craps table.
But no, he's right. Derek is very visible out on the floor, and he loves meeting customers and players.
Yeah,
so,
if there was ever a casino owner that was more visible and more friendly, I don't know him. I mean, that guy is
certainly
out
in
there
this day
all
and age.
the time.
Yeah, it's great. Well, it's too bad, Mr. Lucky, you didn't get to Stadium Swim, because we've heard great things about that, with the pool and the huge TV display, that has sports on it and everything. We are a little disappointed to hear about 3, 4, 5 times odds. We thought it would be 10 times odds, like the other properties.
Right.
Maybe that'll change with time. It could be that, it was just opening up.
Well, isn't Golden Nugget 3, 4, 5?
Yes, right. So
they're
not
on par with the Nugget there.
Right, and Fremont is 2 times, and the Cal is two times. So,
right.
It's not the worst downtown. Yeah.
No. I can't wait to see the sports.
Oh, I know. I was listening to The Better Life. Gil Alexander, Tim Lawson's good friend, was on recently, and he was talking about how any door that you go into, you open the door, you don't have to look for the sports book. So, there's the sports book, right? There it is. There it is, right? So, really looking forward to checking this out.
I really want to see the sports book. Can you imagine on a good NFL Sunday or Final Four for college basketball or something?
I cannot imagine, no.
Yeah.
And
that
then
first weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly,
oh, my gosh. Seriously, Thursday through Sunday?
Of the tournament. Yeah, that would be amazing.
Yeah, it'd be fantastic. Yeah. And then as far as the Garage Mahal goes, it's actually the first, in Las Vegas, the first parking structure that was built with ride sharing in mind. So I don't know all the details and the logistics of it, but apparently it's much easier for ride shares to pick up people and drop people off. So that's one of the big things there. And as far as the parking fees, if there isn't already validation, maybe not because they just opened. I'm sure eventually there'll be validation for hotel guests and or casino guests. So
I imagine right now too, certain tier levels get parking for free.
I would think so too. Yeah,
I would think.
Right. Anyway, if you want to hear more about Circa, because that's what everybody's talking about right now, check out some of the other podcasts and blogs in the Vegas internet community, because there's a lot of information out there, and it really sounds exciting.
Well, it's been a while since we've had a new casino.
A really new one, exactly.
I mean, something that not just refurbished or changed names, but an actually brand new built casino.
Yep.
So that's exciting in itself.
Yep.
And the fact that it's downtown is exciting.
I know. I agree. That makes it a little better.
Right.
I know. All right, one last call from Steve.
Hey guys, Steve from Chicago, longtime listener. Love the work you do for all of us. I wanted to share a trip report to Vegas. I was out there October 22nd through the 27th and stayed at Caesar's Palace. Caesar's Palace was nice as usual, plenty of masks and sanitizers, which made it good. The overall feel, and the reason I wanted to share this experience with everybody, is that the overall feel for me, anyway, was certainly less than what we're used to. I think the masks and the limit of players at tables, really hampers the interaction, which is a good part of what we go for. It was nice that there were less crowds and less waiting in line, but it was also much more difficult to get onto a table to gamble. You're not allowed to stand near or behind them. And if there's a seat that you want, you kind of got to pace around to get into that game. I would also say for most people that the limits were probably $5 to $10 higher than normal on a table game like blackjack, 3-card poker, and the like, depending on the casino you were at. I think that the capacities were probably about 40 to 50% from what would normally be out there this time of year. Mainly we play poker at Caesar's Palace. They do have small dividers playing 8-handed. We've played elsewhere as well with also smaller dividers. Bellagio, the only poker room that we did play at, and I think they were playing 8-handed, was a much thicker and larger divider, much more intrusive, which again changed the experience for us a little bit. But most of the other casinos, and again, mostly we were at Caesar's properties, had no dividers on table games or craps tables. I did venture off the strip to the Golden Gate and Sam's Town. They did have super heavy dividers. Almost felt like you were in a phone booth sitting next to somebody. So again, it kind of hampers the experience if that's what you're going for. And while I did have a car, I also drove to Laughlin because I've never done that. Always been interested to go out there. So I took a day trip out. I was surprised by the number of casinos they have, but wouldn't really recommend a trip for anybody unless you had a reason to go there. It was kind of depressing in that regard. And then my final thing is, I guess, I just talk about the crowds in Las Vegas right now. I think it's a little dicier than normal. And my general read on that is there's probably the same level of what I might call the underbelly of visitors to Las Vegas are there. However, you don't have the mix of tourists and conventioneers that maybe kind of balance that mix out. So it does seem just a little bit rougher, which may be why the violence is up there. And then also, I would say scooter usage. The handicap scooters are being used a lot by folks who don't need them, and are very disrespectful in terms of how they're riding them and using them. So it'd be a word of caution for people going out there is to watch themselves if they see a slew of those coming their way. But anyway, love the work you guys do. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. We haven't actually talked about it on our show, but yeah, there have been some very well-publicized cases of violence in Las Vegas, and yeah, these scooter gangs going around. So
I've actually heard of that and thought about that, and he hit the nail on the head. The tourists aren't there who are there not to gamble, but just, for...
Yeah, conventions
Vegas,
things, that kind of thing, right?
None of those people are there. So, yeah, you're going to get a little dicier crowd.
Yeah, only, for the overall, if you look at the percentage overall, that's what we're saying. There aren't maybe necessarily more bad people there.
Than usual.
It's just, you can see them more easily.
They stand out more, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
It's funny he drove to Laughlin.
Yeah.
I don't know. Laughlin's fine. But it's not for us.
Well, yeah, it is. Here's the thing. If we're in Vegas, we're certainly not driving to Laughlin.
No.
Okay.
No.
That absolutely not.
Right.
But I could see us going just to Laughlin to gamble because it's good for gamblers, right? Low limits, that kind of thing.
Right.
Getting easy on tables, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a little easier. It's just... There's no excitement. So, yeah, you and I would be fine with it because we're not going to Vegas for excitement.
Right.
But for the average person, it's probably boring, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
But the average visitor to Vegas would find it boring.
Right. And since you just said we don't go to Las Vegas for excitement.
Yeah, well,
maybe Laughlin is where we should be going exclusively.
I guess I should define excitement, right? Our excitement is, having the four come up like a boatload of times.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
And then thanks, Steve, too, for the report on poker tables there in Las Vegas. We haven't really heard about that at all.
Yeah.
Well,
there's not much poker going on.
No, in fact, a couple of the bit like Mirage just closed their poker room permanently. Excalibur, Excalibur didn't have much room, but Mirage wasn't too bad.
No, Mirage had a
they're closing, and you can understand it, especially now. They're not money makers when there isn't a pandemic, and so it's even worse now.
I wonder if poker will have long-term problems with that. I mean, poker itself, it seems like, there's not as much on TV. Obviously.
Yeah, it's not like it used to be after the boom.
It's not like it used to be, and you're not hearing a lot of people talking about poker. So I wonder if it's headed back the other direction where it was, say, 20 years ago.
Well, I don't think it's going to go back to pre-moneymaker levels.
Okay.
Because I think it's just too much a part of our culture now, more than it used to be.
Right, okay.
So, yeah, it's going to level off. I mean, the pandemic's certainly hurting it. But I think it'll bounce back a little bit.
It's not going to be a lot of 20-year-olds who think they're going to become gazillionaires.
Well, not as much anymore because you can't play online anymore in the United States, right? That's the big problem. So,
well, that's changing. So now all we needed was for Colorado to raise the limits. Next thing, we're going to have online poker.
Opening the doors, baby.
Those Coloradians or whatever they are. Thank you.
So, Mike, great gift wrap-up coming up. Have you made any decision about your trip?
I still have no decision. Honestly, I don't know if I want to go or not.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Normally, I have well over 1 million points.
Mm-hmm.
And, you get a fair amount of gifts, anywhere from 700,000 to a couple million. You get a fair amount of gifts.
Yeah.
Well, this year, because of the pandemic and not playing as much and no Vegas trips, I've got 350,000 points or something. And it does get you some gifts, but I don't know if it's worth the trip in a pandemic.
Okay, so this is still up in the air then. You may make a decision later.
I have some gifts, and actually my daughters want to go.
Yeah.
Seriously, they just want to get out of the house for a weekend, so they want to go. And my wife and I are going, the gifts don't mean that much to us. And I'd like to go and see Circa.
Right,
just because I'm itching to do that. But I just don't know if it's worth it.
Yeah, all right.
It could very easily come down to the week before.
Okay, and I don't have any plans to go with you because, like I was saying, I looked at how many points I have, and I'd be better off going up to Harrah, Southern California for the day, getting my free play there than to come to Vegas. So, yeah. All right, well, stay tuned for Dr. Mike's potential Las Vegas.
I'll tell you what, if we don't go this year, you and I, we got to make up for it next year.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. That's just a done deal. We have to make up for it.
All
Mark.
right. Let's shake on it after I get some hand sanitizer. All right. That's going to do it for this episode. We want to thank a couple of people for recurring PayPal donations. Our friends James and Kurt. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Hey, be sure to check out our TV listings showing all the gambling-related shows coming up within the next 2 weeks at youcanbetonthat.com/TV-listings and our list of gambling-related movies at youcanbetonthat.com/movies. We'd love to hear from you. Call our voicemail hotline at 951-292-4377. That's 9512-WAGERS.
9512-WAGERS.
Or you can email us at youcanbetonThat@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at YouCanBetOnThat and on Facebook at facebook.com/YouCanBetOnThat. Finally, please go to your favorite podcast app and write a review of the show. We love getting your feedback. What do you got, Dr. Mike?
Well, I don't know, Mark. There's not a lot going on. Baseball ended, football's in swing. I guess football's in swing. I don't know.
It is.
I heard, was it Wisconsin or somebody's not playing this weekend?
I saw some headlines.
A bunch of COVID cases and stuff. It's just, that really frustrates me.
Yeah.
And it's hard to, you asked me today what I wanted to bet tonight on college football, and all the teams playing, it's their first game.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't even know who's playing. I mean, some teams actually have players who aren't playing because, they're afraid of COVID or their parents said, no, you can't play football, that kind of stuff. So anyway, there's not a lot of sports going on right now.
All right. Well, let me ask you this. We're recording this on Wednesday night. Are you looking forward to going to the casino this weekend to try to make it 8 straight sessions?
I am very much looking forward. I like that you texted me and said, how are you not at the casino? How
it was Sunday afternoon. I said, how are you not going today? He'd gone like 3 days in a row and won big on each day.
I read it
How are you not?
I read it out loud and I laughed. And then my wife says, what are you laughing about? And I told her what you wrote. And she said, yeah, I was wondering that too.
She was just waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Yeah, right.
I think I'm going to head up there real quick, honey.
I gotta go. Boy, I showed restraint, Mark.
You sure did, Dr. Mike.
I broke out in hives, but I showed restraint. I hope in 2 weeks, we've got 2 weeks of fascinating casino stories.
More stories. I hope so too. All right. Thanks for listening.
Good night.
Oh, sweet mother, I love you, Dr. Mike.